Now, new details on a string of FBI raids in 3 Midwestern states.
Agents have charged 9 members of a group based in Michigan, a militia group, with a plot to kill police officers in this country.
The video alone suggests that these guys are real serious. You see camouflage uniforms, you see tight formations, arms and ammunition. 9 members of this messianic Christian militia now have been charged.
But they don't realize that we have very dangerous terrorist groups inside the United States.
There's a quote, or a ticking time bomb composed of paranoid lunatics.
The government says there was just this was a hate group, utter hatred for the government as an entity.
Well, I'm a Christian, but I'm not crazy, and it seems to me that these folks are crazy.
But this idea of killing anyone with a badge, your local police officer, and all with the idea of drawing hundreds of law enforcement officials from around the country and then launching this attack using IEDs and missiles.
Including seditious conspiracy, sedition, and attempted use of weapons of mass destruction. Court documents revealing Hutaree members were plotting to kill a police officer, then bomb the officer's funeral procession in order to kill others.
Throwing the government.
What's
and
their
some
beef?
Talk about. Well, where do we begin? I mean, the list is long. I mean, they're generally anti-government. They don't like what's happening. They don't like the laws that are restricting them. They don't think they have enough freedom, and they think that law enforcement, in many cases, and government officials are the root cause of this.
A non-white president in a country that is very unused to that, all that represents in terms of demographic change, real anger about the state of the economy, also real anger and frustration about the way the government has dealt with the state of the economy, and in particular things like, multi-million-dollar bonuses for the same bankers who arguably drove the economy into the ground and the rest of it. Ushering in a kind of socialistic one-world government which would rob us of all our freedoms and so on. This is sort of the Christian millennial twist, where they're, of course, looking right at the book of Revelations and describing the one-world government as something very similar, but this is the one-world government that will be run by Satan.
There is a chance for the President of the United States to use this disaster to carry out what his father, a phrase his father used, and that is a New World Order.
So is this some sort of New World Order?
President Obama and British Prime Minister Gordon today calling for a New World Order to tackle our global economic crisis.
I think the New World Order is emerging.
They want one world order, a new world order, at the end of this event.
This time, a new world order with business at the helm of trade and economic policy.
In this period, when really a new world order can be created.
It's about the future of Europe and a new world order.
Is our destiny of success in this new world order.
They don't target the so-called New World Order, they target the Antichrist.
The Antichrist might be the current president.
Or they target the Antichrist, which I guess is essentially a Christian millennial version of what the New World Order will be when the day comes.
All this, of course, obviously making everyone think back to the Homeland Security Department report that was released last April that warned of this type of extremism and its growth, and it was mocked by the right wing, saying that this is just an attempt to put down conservative political values. But I mean, how many times have we seen in the last year that this report was, if anything, understating the reality out there?
I think that's precisely right, and that's really what we said at the time. The reality was that the infamous DHS report of last April was spot on. It had a very good analysis of what was going on there. It very much mirrored our own completely independent findings down here. And it was vilified by groups like the American Legion and other right-wing groupings. And there, if one actually read the report, there was nothing in there that was tendentious, that identified conservatives as potential Timothy McVeighs, or any of the rhetoric. The fact is it was a sober, straight-ahead assessment of what was going on, and we're seeing precisely what was essentially predicted in that report now.
It sounded to me like there was a lot of hateful and dangerous talk. If that sounds like a bunch of crazy talk, Stone's court-appointed attorney says that's because that is all the government has. Talk.
And with these type of cases, you always look and try to read between the lines and see, is it the type of thing where they were just talking and then the FBI got involved in an undercover capacity and tried to give them, in order to catch them in the act, gave them the means by which they can commit the act.
Because it does seem like, and a lot of times there are these stories, they make a lot of headlines, you know, they certainly cause a lot of attention, and then as the details emerge, it seems like there's an undercover person in there, and as you said, oftentimes we've seen that undercover officer has had to kind of help them along in their plans to get them to a place where they may be operational. I mean, I don't know if that... Drew, was this group a real threat?
Yeah, Anderson, I don't want to minimize what the prosecutors say these guys said. The undercover agent infiltrated this group, trained with them. They certainly looked really scary. But as the details, the onion began to get peeled back, there was a lot of just unbelievable stuff said today about how dangerous they had the capability to begin their own country and fight a war with the New World Order that would come racing to try to get them. But deep down, I really, after being on this story for like 3 days, I don't think these people had the capability to do much at all. You know, several details in this case talk about how, you know, they couldn't get the bomb-making material. They couldn't get the bombs to work. The undercover agent actually had to assist them in trying to help them, to show them how to make these things. All their information and their planning basically came from the Internet, and they put it all on the Internet. So it was all there for anyone who wanted to take a look to see, right? But there was no specific plot, no specific police officer they were going after. It sounded just like a bunch of crazy talk. After the court hearing, I asked the prosecutor when he came out the door, look, the attorneys say this is nothing but just a bunch of bad talk. Here's what he had to say. I mean, the attorneys are arguing you really don't have anything other than people expressing their free speech.
Well, we have a public information officer who would be probably the best person to discuss the matter.
Can I ask just one factual question? The 37 guns confiscated, were any of them illegally obtained or illegal?
As I said, I don't want to try the case out here on the courtyard. I mean, the courthouse steps. Best place is in the courtroom. So I don't want to go into any facts that haven't been presented. And the best way, if you need information, is to go see our public information officer.
Well, the facts are, Anderson, that they did confiscate 37 guns, but they aren't charged with having any illegal possession of guns. They did confiscate some bomb-making materials or material that could be used to make bombs, but again, there are no bomb charges here. It's a conspiracy case. The attorneys, the court-appointed attorneys, all say, look, this is a free speech case, and that's what it's going to come down to when this gets into the courtroom.
Tell you what's going on? Didn't anybody show you where you have gone wrong? See the towers burning in the sky, they are your signs. Did you do it for the money? What price for your soul? And I just want to know what side you're fighting for. Come to the light, shine on, feel God's glory. Did you see the leaves falling from the trees up on the ground? How do you live with yourself and the conscience you own? Look at your reflection in the mirror. Do you like what you see? And in the darkest hour, do you know who you can count on now? 'Cause I just want to know what side you're fighting for. Come to the light, shine on, feel God's glory.
Must settle this in your mind. This is the one thing I want to say over and over. Do not believe, down through history, you have a wrong idea of martyrdom and persecution. You think that these men were persecuted and martyred for their sincere faith in Jesus Christ. That was the real reason, but no one heard that publicly. They were martyred, and they were persecuted as enemies of the state, as child molesters, as bigots, as narrow-minded, stupid people who had fallen for a ruse and can contribute nothing to society. Your suffering will not be noble.